Hello, I'm Maginpanic and welcome to part 5 Introduction to Toonboom Harmony for Special Effects Artists. In this tutorial, the last one, we're gonna talk about sprite sheet. We're gonna create one and prepare it for the games. Alright, so let's open our Toonboom scene with our juicy effect that we have here. And we're gonna make some space for another couple more things on our screen. Okay, the first one is the folder with the files. We'll need that. And the other thing, unfortunately, will be calc. Okay, so what we're gonna do is at the very beginning, I'm gonna show you what is happening and what we want to achieve if you actually don't know what is happening. So to create a sprite sheet from Toonboom, it's pretty hard, and I'll try to explain it as easy as it's possible. Alright, so with this animation we have 23 frames. Okay, and the sprite sheets for the to make it work for games, you want them to be in a perfect grid. So for example, if you have 4 frames animation, you want to have a grid 2 by 2 with 4 images ordered 1, 2, 3, 4. That's pretty simple, and it just keeps going until you have like 5 by 5, and there is 5 by 5, and the order is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and so on and so forth until you reach 20, 25. Okay, the idea here is to simulate this with Toonboom, and of course Toonboom have a little thing to help us with it, and we're gonna do it right away. The very first thing I will do is I will draw a little rectangle so you will actually know what I'm doing. I'm just drawing a little rectangle. I don't need the outline of it, and with this tool I'm pressing Ctrl S, selecting it, select tool. With this thing, snap to grid, that's what we need. I'm gonna select it and just fill the entire view with it so you can see it's perfectly aligned with the camera. What we're gonna do now, we're gonna click this little button here. If you don't have this window, I can bring it to the top. It's game toolbar. You right click over here and you select game. There we go. And we're gonna pick export to easel.js. Okay, let's click that. And obviously you have to have the save path. It's over there. Save name, I called it Sprite. It will be over in this folder. Scene options, display. We want to set the max width to 48 times 248, okay? And we want a fixed sprite sheet, and we're gonna erase everything that you have here, and we're gonna make another one. Okay, and the idea here is to have a grid 5 by 5, okay? So we have 2048, so we're gonna use our calc to type that 2048, and we're gonna divide that by 5. Okay, and the closest lower integer will be 409. So I'm gonna name our thing 409, and that will have this amount on width and height, and we're gonna just hit export and see what will happen. So obviously we have a sprite folder here. frames easel.js, and we're gonna go into Sprite and Sprite sheet, and we're gonna check what actually happened here. So obviously I didn't extend the exposure, but you can quickly notice a little thing that the grid here is missing. What Toonboom does with this thing, I don't know what I'm drawing right now, there is no grid in there. What Toonboom did, it tried to save the space on the image so it will contain more elements, so the bounding box for each element is different. The bigger the element, the bigger the bounding box, and as I created a huge rectangle here, that much space took this frame to have on the screen. Okay, so let's do something different now. And our goal here is to push the software, I'm gonna delete this, push the software to act like we want it to act, okay? I'm selecting this layer, clicking center on selection, and I'm gonna just hold and extend it. And we're gonna do exactly the same thing again, click easel.js and export with the same amount. I'm gonna wait a couple seconds and whoa, what happened was pretty close, I would say. And there are a couple things that are weird. For some reason, we have a little space here, and obviously we don't have 5 items in the row, and as well we don't have 5 rows. I don't know what happened, but actually what actually happened is, I will show you in a second. Let's draw something that will be outside of the screen here. I'm gonna delete those and I'm gonna render it one more time. What will happen now? Those images that I drew that are not on the screen pushes Toonboom to create bigger border for each image. For some reason, it have this space reserved for something. And what we are going to do, because the grid is perfect now, what we are going to do is we were gonna reduce that space around. So let's go and delete that. What we are going to do now is we're gonna literally duplicate this. So Ctrl C, Ctrl B, create new columns, and let's use a better naming convention. That will be mask 1, and that should be mask 2. Okay, so we have 2 rectangles. I'm gonna disable this one, and for this one, let's change the color to this pink. Alright, we're gonna go to Node library and search for the cutter. And we're gonna plug it over there and use our pink mask to cut everything from this scene. And then we're gonna get inside or just double click on this to invert the selection. So only the things within this rectangle are shown on the screen. Okay, so we are kind of limiting the everything that's outside of the camera, which shouldn't be there, but we are limiting it to stick to this camera view. So let's enable the blue one again, save the scene and export it one more time. So right now we are pretty close, but what happened here, because we divided 2048, by 5. It gave us a number, but we can quickly notice there is something between each frame, like a 1 pixel wide, or maybe 2 or 3 pixel wide white border, and there's no way we can get out of it. It's because it's there. What I'm assuming is because it's kind of like rasterizing the image, and this is the result of the rasterization. And when it's tried to merge those images, it gave this border. But what's good for the software that will take our sprite, it's evenly spread on the grid. So we're gonna try to push it, and we're gonna push it in a very weird way. So we know that 409 is a little bit too much. Okay, so let's assume that the border is a little wider than pretty much nothing. So let's put there the next lower integer, which will be 408, and let's export it. We're gonna play around. This obviously didn't happen the way we wanted, so I'm gonna delete it and open it once more. I'm gonna try to make 407, and I guess it will be pretty close, but it's still not the image I was looking for. So I'm deleting this one more time, entering it, and at 406 there will be a sweet spot which will create for us one very image that we want. But there is a very quick thing that you will notice according to what I said at the very beginning. The grid should have numbered frames like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. And here it's completely rotated by 180 degree. Okay, 180. This is our first frame, this is our second and third frame. So what we want to do in order to make it happen, we'll just simply click the rotate button to make it like this. And well, that would be it. We obviously have to get rid of this blue rectangle, but there is another thing that came up with this rotation. Let's assume that you animated the fire. Okay, so you had the torch over there and you animated the fire on the torch, and you exported it and you're importing it to the software, to the game engine, and what will happen? Your fire will be upside down. Okay, you can make extra calculations to rotate, that shouldn't be hard, but you don't want the software to do those extra calculations unnecessary. Okay, what you want to do will be a simple trick with a camera within Toonboom. So we're gonna search for the camera, we're gonna create a peg, Control P, I'm clicking, and I'm just gonna rotate the camera using this icon, rotate Alt 3. You can also use Shift T for the translate tool, transform tool. You can select the peg and just rotate it. I just like to use this rotate thing, but it will be hard to rotate it 180 degree. What we're gonna use is this bar here, which you can have access to. It's coordinate. We're gonna right click here, click coordinate, and we're gonna simply type 180. There we go. Right now it's upside down, and that's pretty much what we want, okay? We can visualize this by creating a little arrow which will be pointing upward, but in the render, let's delete this, but in the render it's actually gonna be inversed because we need to rotate the image. Okay, so it's pointing down, and this pointing down will be the same as we would delete the translation for the camera. So we have finally the effect that we needed. So we need the camera and we are good to go. I'm gonna delete this and I'm gonna unplug this mask. So this is perfect. And you might think it is perfect, but it's not. Like, we pretty much ended up in the very same spot as we was at the very beginning, because there is nothing to push the Toonboom to stretch every frame to that 406 pixels. Unfortunately, we have to keep this image. I'm sorry if it's so confusing, but it's so hard to push Toonboom to do what we want to do. Okay, I have the color here. It's very simple. You just lower down the opacity to 0. There is no alpha, not visible at all, but it's still connected. Then is the cutter with the rectangle that we have over there. And what I'm gonna do is I'll just simply delete this and export it once more for the very last time, and this time rotate it 180 degree, and here we go, our wonderful sprite sheet for the animation that we did. And to make it work for every single grid that you want, you will have to follow exactly the same rules. So of course you need the mask with cut it square as you have, like this. The other square that will be totally transparent, and the amount of images you'll have to count using calculator. There is no other way. So in order to have like 2x2 things, you will have to have something like 1024 width and height. That's pretty obvious, but as we noticed, that will be this white border on the very center, so we will be looking around something 1022, I guess, times 1022. And this exact pattern will go for 3x3. I'll just do a quick math for you. 2048 divided by 3, it's somewhere around 682, but because of those white borders, again, we will have something like 679, I guess, 679. And we will type that numbers again here. We can create one more. We can have like 679, but it will be the same width and height here, and we can just hit export, and there we go. Hopefully that's not so crazy for you and you understand how to create this nice little sprite sheet that you can now upload to your game engine. Thank you so much for watching. This introduction to Toonboom was an introduction to a VFX course from Jason Kaiser for VFX Apprentice. You can check the link below for all the details, and also you can have the Toonboom file if you go there. So Please check it if you want to learn, and I really recommend it. Thank you so much for watching, and see you around on the next videos. Cheers.